Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Cindy Baker here. Um, if you are watching the replay, welcome to you as well. Let me get my slides up here and all right. So, welcome, friends. I am so happy to be with you. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if you're new to me, I'm Cindy Baker. I am what you call an executive function coach. I empower professionals to overcome overwhelm. So I'm a productivity coach and I specialize in helping with ADHD. Um, but you don't have to have ADHD uh, to gain skills from my coaching. So welcome, welcome. Today we're going to talk about one of the biggest lies that we have been sold um, when it comes to productivity, and that is that you need to feel motivated to take action. My coaching clients know I have all these little mantras, and one of my favorite ones is waiting for motivation is never a good strategy because you don't want to operate on feelings. So it's not true. Nope, you do not need motivation to take action. In fact, motivation is the least reliable fuel source for getting things done. Did you know that? Um, what actually moves you forward, especially if you have a busy brain, is momentum. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to build momentum, even when motivation is at an absolute zero. Sound good? All right. So most people believe the story that sounds like this. Once I feel motivated, then I'll start. But here's the truth. Motivation usually shows up after you start, not before. Action comes before motivation. Motivation is a reaction. It's not a requirement. So if you've been waiting for motivation to magically appear so that you can finally get going, guess what? You're probably waiting on something that was never designed to start the engine, and it may never come. So, if motivation isn't what gets us moving, what does? Well, it's action. Tiny action, tiny action. What actually drives us is not a feeling, it's momentum. Every little action gives your brain a quick win, and that win gives you more energy to keep going. So action creates traction. How about that for a mantra? I need to make a t-shirt on that. Action creates traction, but traction turns into momentum. So what actually drives action is taking an action, if that makes sense. So think of motivation like a spark. It's nice, but it burns out really fast. Momentum, on the other hand, is like a rolling snowball. It gets bigger as it goes. It gets bigger, it gets stronger, harder to stop once it's moving. When you learn how to build momentum without waiting for motivation, then everything in your life becomes easier. Finishing projects, sticking to routines, even getting started when you don't feel like it. So they're not the same thing. Motivation fades because it's based on emotion, and emotions are temporary. They come and go, right? You might wake up feeling pumped and excited, and by lunchtime, you're done. You know, um, you might read something inspiring, and 30 minutes later, you're scrolling on your phone. But your brain's not reliable. Motivation is. That's why, your brain, what am I saying? Your brain is reliable. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation, I got that. I'm thinking one thing and saying the other. So let me say what I'm thinking. Your brain is not unreliable, but motivation is unreliable. You cannot rely on it. It's an emotion. That's why you can't build your life on something that fluctuates by the hour. And momentum doesn't care how you feel. Momentum doesn't ask if you are feeling inspired. Momentum builds itself. As long as you start, then it builds itself. Once you create momentum on purpose, then you suddenly feel more consistent, more focused, and more productive, even on days when your energy is low. That's one of the biggest things that I learned, and it's really helped me. Now, if you happen to have ADHD like me, or just a real busy brain kind of a profile, momentum is even more important because your brain loves movement. Your brain hates being still. And when you're stuck, you stay stuck. Um, but when you get moving, your brain lights up like a pinball machine. That's why we get bored easily because we don't like to, I mean, we like to think. Our brain's always going. This is why starting is the hardest part. But once you're rolling, you're unstoppable. Does that make sense? So your brain rewards small wins with a little hit of dopamine, which is that feel-good chemical. It's that little chemical boost that says, "Oh, do that again." This means that tiny actions are not just helpful, they're really strategic. Um, you don't need a huge win to feel good. You just need a small win that tells your brain, "See, I can do this." That's why I always tell my coaching clients that when they feel overwhelmed, to break down that project into the tiniest, smallest steps possible. It's much easier to get started on some tiny little step. But productivity is the culmination of a bunch of little tiny, tiny steps. So celebrate the small wins. And activation simply means getting yourself moving, just enough to break inertia. So you don't need to be excited. You don't need to be inspired or motivated. You just need to activate, to take that first micro step that wakes up your brain, and your brain says, "Oh, okay, fine. We're doing this." Okay. Do you know what I mean? Activation builds momentum, and momentum does the rest. So most of us wait until everything feels perfect and aligned before we want to begin. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. You don't start ready. You start messy. You start uncertain. You start with low energy. Momentum is what makes you feel ready after you begin. So you have to start before you feel ready. And that's the rub. That's where it's really difficult for some people. So I hope you're tracking with me. But you start messy and uncertain. When you don't feel like it, you start, and then the momentum kicks in. And so, what that's about is lowering the activation energy. And that simply means making the first step ridiculously easy to start. Instead of clean the whole office, your activation step is clear one corner of the desk. That's it. Much easier to get started on that small thing. Instead of work on the project, your activation step is open the document. I know, laughably small, but your goal is not finishing, your goal is starting. And too many times we're focused on finishing the big thing and that we never get started. And you have to start small. That's the way you overcome that friction in your brain. So here's one of my favorite strategies, and it's the 5 minute jump start. And that's just a little brain trick that you play with yourself. You tell yourself that you only have to work for 5 minutes. So you don't feel like doing something. Well, you tell yourself, "Look, self, I only have to do this for 5 minutes." And 5 minutes is short enough that your brain's not going to protest. But it's long enough to kickstart that momentum. Because what happens is before the 5 minutes is up, once you get going, surprise, you actually keep going most of the time. 5 minutes creates the activation. That's all you need, just 5 minutes. Activation creates momentum. Now, if you don't want to finish after 5 minutes, you can stop and not feel guilty because you only said you were going to do it for 5 minutes. But more than likely, you will get momentum and you'll keep going. The motivation will come after you take action. And now, a few Mondays ago, I shared a strategy called the now or not now strategy. And that's one of the best ways to overwhelm. It's, hold on just a minute. Layla, stop barking. I'm doing a Facebook right now. I don't know if y'all can hear it. Zoom's pretty good about filtering stuff out, but my dog is barking. So you, what you do is you just ask yourself, should I do this? Um, and then your brain is going to be like, no, I don't want to do this. So stop asking yourself, should I do this? Instead, ask, is this a now or not now? That's it. Only two options. If it's now, take the tiniest next step. If it's not now, schedule it, park it, or put it in a container, And this removes the decision fatigue and it gets you moving quickly. I mean, it sounds really dumb, but I promise if you try this, it really does work. You ask yourself, is this now or not now? And if it's now, you do it, but you start with a tiny step. And if it's not now, you schedule it, you put it on your planner, or you park it, file it, whatever. And it removes that decision fatigue and it helps you get started. Now, once momentum starts, it grows. And small actions stack together like dominoes. You do one thing, then you do another thing, and you do another thing, and suddenly you're on a roll, you know? And this is why the beginning feels the hardest and the middle feels the easiest. Momentum multiplies once you're in motion, it compounds. So you don't need to hustle or grind to stay consistent. Momentum actually protects your energy because your brain is not wasting time trying to restart every day from zero. When momentum's flowing, then your actions feel smoother, simpler, uh, more automatic. It's consistency without burnout, consistency without exhaustion. And to build your momentum engine, you need to focus on three things, okay? Number one, start small. Number two, reduce friction. And we've talked about how to do that. And number three, keep rolling once you're in motion. Start small, reduce friction, keep rolling. Your goal is not perfection, it's progress. It's another one of my mantras, progress over perfection. Keep the engine warm and momentum does the heavy lifting. Now, here are three common mistakes that people make when it comes to momentum. One is they try to start too big. So again, start small. Two is they wait to feel ready. What do I always say? Waiting for motivation, never a good strategy. You gotta start when you don't feel ready. And number three, the mistake is they stop completely when life interrupts. But listen, interruptions are going to happen. Just don't let a pause become a full stop. Do you know what I mean? Keep the momentum. Stop, deal with whatever it is, and jump right back into it. Pick up again with the smallest possible action. So, again, the three mistakes are trying to start too big, waiting to feel ready, and stopping completely when life interrupts. Now, you know now that motivation is not the problem, momentum is. So I want you to experiment with one tiny activation step today, just one. One little action that proves to your brain, I can start even when I don't feel like it. Momentum is built one small step at a time, and you're one step away from getting things moving. Start small. So I hope this has been helpful. Um, if you have any questions about anything that I've said, just shoot me a message, and I'm happy I circle back around and read those, and I'm happy to help you. If you're interested in coaching, let me know. If you're interested in the workshop on December 11th, let me know. It's a workshop called Focused and Finished, and it is awesome. It's going to be interactive and a lot of fun. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember, keep that momentum going.